You know, of course, yesterday morning, found out that Frances had passed away, and she was such a good friend to me, and she was such a mentor, and I had asked Emmy to come up and sing this song, Tears in Heaven, because it had special meaning for me. And after Dale got up and sort of gave a nice remembrance to Frances, it was almost too serendipitous that Emmy came out and sang that song. But what does this award mean to me? This means that I've somehow found my way through a morass of good songs and bad songs, and been able to identify a few good ones, sign a few great writers. You know, we all mention the ones that are successful. We rarely mention the ones that didn't work, but we all have some of those. But what this means to me is it's just an overwhelmingly beautiful gesture, and particularly because this comes from the board of directors, you know, my peers, people who are publishers and songwriters. And to me, that's the cap, that's the top, that's Mount Everest, you know.
Did you want to single any of the songwriters that you worked with out?
Well, there's so many, you know. I hate to leave anybody out, but you know, first and foremost, some of the people that come to mind are certainly Paul Williams, Will Jennings, Brian Wilson, Emmylou Harris, who I got to kick-started her writing again because she was getting lazy with it. And my goodness, Mark Knopfler, Dire Straits, Peter Frampton, Jane's Addiction. I've had the privilege of going from one end of the spectrum to the other. I love rock and roll. I love ballads. I love all kinds of great music, and I've been fortunate to publish some of them and kick some of them in the ass, you know, to get going. But for the most part, it's been a journey that we did together, and I certainly wouldn't have this job without them.
Did you always want to be in the songwriting part of the business?
No, actually, I didn't. I was around it, so I got a big head start. There were a lot of people at our house. There were a lot of records that were constantly being played. I would go and watch my dad broadcast, and this was at a time when race music and race records were not permitted on white radio. They weren't very popular. It was, I don't think my father realized at the time, but it was somewhat civil rights, you know. Oh, God, yeah. But he never really thought of it that way. He thought of it as just music and fun for everybody. But I did get a head start there. I actually started medical school at UCLA, and that was my plan. And Jerry was kind enough to give me a job in the mailroom at A&M. And after I met Paul Williams, we just, I said, I'm not sure I really like medicine, you know. I mean, I sort of like the songwriting stuff. And after a few years, I had an opportunity to get into it. And you know, it's been a privilege and something that's just been amazing ever since, you know.
The Abe Olman Award, his name on it, does that have a special...
Absolutely. I knew Howie very well, and I didn't know Abe very well, but I certainly know what he did, and Johnny Mercer. I visited Howie not too long ago in Palm Springs. He was one of the great publishers, you know, the vision that he had. And, of course, we want to emulate our heroes, but often, you know, so much of what we do is a matter of good timing. And what's available out there to publish. And sometimes it takes a lot of sifting. Sometimes the opportunities that were available then are not available today. But I will say that if you stick with it, and this has always been my mantra, that if you stick with it and you pay attention to your songwriters and the songs, you win. And if you don't, you lose. Real simple.